Welcome back to another episode of Steak Experiments on this journey to searing the perfect steak in cast iron. Today what we're going to be experimenting with is searing two ribeyes. One we're going to do just in a regular cast iron pan, and the other we're going to do outside on the griddle. And for those of you who are subscribed to this channel, you know that we've been doing a few recipe videos on the griddle. We've loved that thing, it's a ton of fun. And the surface of that griddle, it's pretty much like you've got a 22-inch cast iron pan. So we're gonna see, does it make a difference on crust, taste, the crispiness, just the juiciness, all of those things that we've been benchmarking across these steak experiment videos. So if you're into that thing, if you're into that kind of thing, consider subscribing to this channel and stick around. So as I mentioned, we're gonna be doing this with a couple ribeyes. And that's different. Normally we've been using sirloins, but went to the butcher, saw some incredibly well marbled ribeyes, and I thought to myself, given we're going to be using two different cast iron pans here, we've got a little bit extra room in the pan, let's try some thick cut ribeyes. So what we're going to do first here, of course, is just pat these steaks dry. We just want to pat them dry like this. Make sure you get all the moisture off of them. Now we're just going to go in, season them with a generous amount of salt. Hit them with some fresh cracked pepper. Boom, just like that. Flip them over. We'll get the other side. And again, these are thick cuts. Go nice and generous with your salt. Don't worry about over salting. It's really hard to do when you've got cuts this thick. Again, some fresh cracked pepper. Now pat that in. Now with all the excess seasoning on your board, just make sure you get the sides of these steaks seasoned as well. Boom. Now we're just gonna let these steaks rest here for about an hour, and that's gonna give time for the seasoning to start to break down the steak. Some of the muscle fibers make for a tenderer outcome. And it's also gonna let the steaks come up to room temperature and provide for a more even cook as we sear these guys on cast iron in the griddle. All right, now let's check the temperature of our cast iron pan. And again, we're looking for a temp north of 400, 4 to 450, and here we're almost at 500, so this is perfect. Now let's go check out the griddle. Now for the griddle, checking out a surface temp, we've got 500 here, just under 500, so it's almost identical to the pan. This is gonna be the perfect comparison. So let's grab those ribeyes. So we're gonna start with the cast iron pan here. We're just gonna give it a generous amount of avocado oil, and again, avocado oil has a high smoke point. Work this oil around the pan. Now what we wanna do here before we drop in the steak, you'll see the butcher had this little elastic around the steak just to maintain the ribeye shape. We want to take that elastic off. There's no need for it in the pan, and it'll prevent the steak from curling up as the elastic tightens around the meat. So we're going to leave this here for 4 minutes. In the meantime, let's get the steak on the griddle. Now we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to just remove the elastic, take that off, put that right in the middle. We've already got the avocado oil just layered on the griddle itself first. Might put a little bit of extra around the sides just to make sure that sear is working its way up the side of the steak. Because I think that's going to be one of the key differences here, is the pan is going to hold all the oil around the steak. I'm not sure what's going to happen in the griddle, but stay tuned if you want to check it out. So we'll check back in on this guy in 4 minutes before we flip it. So I really don't know what to expect out of this experiment. I'm having a ton of fun with the griddle. So far, we're about 3 minutes into the sear, and I just did a quick check, and I think the regular cast iron might actually prevail on this one, and I don't mean to prejudge, but the cast iron pan really keeps all of the avocado oil just around the steak, and that oil provides a little bit of heat to just get that extra bit of sear and crust around the edges of the steak. Versus the griddle, as you saw at the start, when you put on the avocado oil, it started to drip off the sides. So we'll see what happens. And you know what? We got to do another steak experiment on this bad boy. Can't wait for the spring to arrive. You know, I still got a vest on. It's still a bit chilly out here. We're almost at 0 degrees Celsius. All right, alarm just went off. 4 minutes. Let's check these steaks. All right, 4-minute mark. Look at that crust. Really nice golden brown. The fat marbling in the ribeye is really starting to convert. You're seeing the Maillard reaction take effect. So let's close this lid down. We're gonna go check out the griddle. All right. So the griddle steak, you can see, because we had the lid on, the top's gone gray. Wow, that's actually looking really good. Okay, turn it over, press it down here. Probably put another bit of avocado oil just around the outside. Make sure that continues to sear up nicely. Now we're going to close down the lid and prep the garlic. So as you all know, we use butter, garlic, and rosemary, and we add it in right at the end. So you want to get some fresh sprigs of rosemary, and with 2 minutes left in our cook, that's when we're going to add this. So just find some nice sprigs there. Perfect. You've got the butter. And then for the garlic cloves, all you've got to do, just take some cloves, keep the skin on, and just smash them down with your chef's knife like that. That's going to release all the garlic flavor that you need. You don't need to worry about peeling the skin off. So we usually go for 3 cloves in a given pan. So given we've got 2 steaks here, got 6 cloves, this is going to be amazing. All right, we got 2 minutes left in our cook here now. So we're going to toss in some butter, some of that garlic, and a few sprigs of rosemary. Now we're just going to tilt the pan like this and start to baste. Get some of that garlic up on the steak. This is just going to add some incredible buttery flavor. You can smell the rosemary, you can smell the garlic. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to do ribeyes more often. Normally we're doing New York strips out here. This just smells amazing. Now for the griddle steak, we're going to try and get the butter down here. Make sure it melts all around. Get this butter in under the steak just like that. Make sure that butter is adding the brownness that we're looking for. We'll try to spoon some of this butter up onto the steak. It's not going to work quite as well as in the cast iron pan, but we're trying. Going to put a little bit of garlic on there. Get rid of those shells. Boom, boom. Oh, that smells awesome. All right, we're gonna leave it like that. And again, we're looking for an internal temperature in the steak of 126, 128, and that's gonna be the medium rare that we're looking for. So we'll close this back up and check in 2 minutes. Just look at that crust. Oh my God, incredible. Taking it off, moving it over to the cutting board. Now let's check in on our other steak. Check the internal temp here. All right, we've got the same internal temp over here. Just look at the crust on that ribeye. All right, we're gonna get those guys inside. Maybe put a bit of garlic on top of them here while they're resting. All right, turn off the grills, take these inside, get some compound butter on them, and let them rest. All right, we've got our fresh homemade compound butter. We made this last night. We'll put a link somewhere in the screen here if you want to go check out this recipe. It is next level, let me tell you. All right, so now we're just gonna cut off a little bit of this compound butter, stick it on the steak while it's resting. Just look at that. Pepper, chives, garlic. Oh, incredible. Okay, add a little bit more over here. Spread this piece out. Now we're just gonna let these rest untented for 10 minutes, then we'll be back to cut into these. All right, so we've had these resting for 10 minutes. The smell is outrageous. I wish you could smell things through the camera. All right, so we're just gonna clear off the garlic and the rosemary here. Now, looking at the crust, you know, I'm gonna give the crust to the steak that was in the cast iron pan. And you can see here, it's just that much darker, that much crispier versus the griddle. You know, it's not that bad, but it's definitely not quite the one on the cast iron pan. Now, what we're gonna do is cut into these guys. We're gonna test just general taste and for juiciness as well. So let's cut on in. All right, so, you know, we might have overcooked these a little bit. I think that was a function of us just having two steaks on the go, but on two different griddles, that is, or two different cookers. So it's a little bit more medium than medium rare here, as you can see. But let's dig in. Oh my God. That is so good. I didn't think we were gonna get the same kind of garlic, rosemary flavor on this steak as the one in the cast iron. Given the griddle, you know, as you put in the butter, as you put in the garlic, things move around a little bit more. But it might have been the compound butter actually that did it at the end. So that's a pretty critical step depending on, you know, whether you've actually spent the time to make that at home or not. So now let's dig into one of the cast iron ribeye pieces. Nice fat cap. That is a juicier steak for sure. The flavor, like the garlic and the butter, it's just permeating throughout the steak. So here, I'm absolutely gonna declare the winner, the cast iron pan steak. The griddle didn't turn out bad, I'm not saying that. It's absolutely edible, and you have people going crazy about it, but personally, I just really liked the cast iron steak better. So if you like this video, give it a like below, share it on Facebook or Twitter, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.